What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have my first 7.3 in the shop. She's got a little bit of an oil leak, unfortunately, but I'm going to show you where that's at and what I'm going to do to take care of it. And yeah, I want to introduce you to the 7.3 Godzilla. Let's check it out. Alright, so what we're talking about today is the old crank seal. Unfortunately, we got, I think, just a bad one, or I can't say it's wore out, but something with the seal. Maybe it didn't get installed correctly or something, or I don't know what the deal is. But this is our huge crank bolt. Look at the size of that bolt. Holy crap. So we're gonna have to replace that because that's obviously one-time use only. But let me get underneath. I want to show you guys where that was leaking. It was pretty obvious. Here's the bottom of the oil pan. Got oil all over it. And then let me turn it this way. Okay, if you look up there in the seal, crank pulley, everything's all wet. It's all dry above, so I'm only left to assume that we got a crank seal that's failed. I'm gonna show you guys what you got to do to get that thing out. Alright, what we're gonna start doing is removing this plastic air dam slash core support cover. Go ahead and remove all your little clips all the way around and make sure to save them because you're going to reuse them. I like to get my 90-degree pick and I like to twist like this right up underneath here and lift it up out of there. Just gotta find the right angle to get it. Okay, once you get them all popped up like that, then you can just lift up on the edges and you can pop them out of the holes. They'll pop out and fling, so just make sure you, like, when you're pulling on it, you just kind of, you know, you're touching them as you're moving along. So just get them popped up. All the clips out. If you get down here by the air filter, right where my hand is, where you guys can't see, you got two different clips. You got this one and this one. Make sure you put this one back in the air filter dam. Got them all out, and then you're just gonna pretty much just lift this up out of here like that. So you got this out of your way. Next, what you're gonna do is get your 7mm, get this whole thing out of the way. We're gonna unclip this. Take this off. Like I said, we got two 7mm right here. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we got some 10 millis right here holding fan shroud to the radiator. We got an 8 milli here and another 10 milli here holding the power steering reservoir on. So we're going to go ahead and remove all those fasteners and just keep it rolling. So next, on each side of the fan shroud, you're going to need to take this trim clip off. One here and one over there. And we'll come to the next step. Alright, I forgot to mention that those two trim clips, some of you may not know, you need to pull the center up and out so it stops. It's not going to pull all the way out. And then you can remove this whole thing from the hole. So, note to yourself. Okay, so once you get those two trim clips out, it's going to allow the lower fan shroud to totally come up out of the way. Alright, I'm rolling underneath the truck and I want to show you the lower 10 millis. So I'm on the outside of the frame. Here's your cab mount. I'm going up in here. And you got a 10 milli right there. Both sides, lower radiator to fan shroud, 10 mil, rip them out, and then the fan shroud's gonna be all loose. After you're done with that, you're gonna need to come over here, and all along the fan shroud, you have harnesses. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 locating tabs. Number 1, baby, right there. Locating tabs to the fan shroud. So pop all those out, and then I'm going to show you the next step. Alright you guys, so this might be a little hard to see, but right now I'm going for this electrical connector right on this little fan bracket, and I'm going to take this electrical twang and completely remove it from said bracket. Come on. Okay. Next thing I want you to do is go ahead and remove the electrical connector from the fan. I don't know if I'm going to be able to... Oh, I did. I just got it. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it with my nail. Okay, so now I need a flat blade. Get you a little flat blade, and you're going to have to maybe pop the tab on the fan. But let's see if we can get it. Kind of a bear. Kind of hurts your fingers, to be honest with you. There we go. All right, I got the connector off, so you guys can check it out, see what I'm talking about. It's got this little white tab. You gotta slide this way and then squeeze the button so that little tab comes off. So I'm just gonna go tuck that out of the way. Next thing we're gonna do is we got a 13 mil nut right here. We're gonna take that loose and get this bracket free, because then we're gonna remove the fan. 13 milli on it. Come on, baby. Alright, we don't want to drop it. I think it's getting loose enough. Got it, but it was hotter than the damnations of hell. Alright, so now you got that little bracket loose, and what you're going to do now is this fan clutch is righty loosey, lefty tighty. It's backwards, so I'm not gonna really have a good way of showing you guys. Is this metal? Oh, perfect. I didn't know that was a metal bracket. What if I give you just a little better shot there? Okay, that's better. I'm gonna get my air hammer. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna walk it right off. Okay, remember I showed you on that 6.4 fan clutch, I mean, I'm making one mark. It's not, I'm not marring this thing up looking horrible. So just gingerly spin this off, keep it moving. Don't let it fall and hit the radiator. So just keep spinning it, and you'll feel it get to the end. Get my other hand here for extra help. Okay, I think it's almost at the end. Yep. Okay, so right now it's in the fan shroud, but I'm going to move it off to the side. It's actually like sitting right on the steering linkage. If I get it just right, I can go down a little bit more. So now our fan shroud is super loose. What we're gonna do is there's two pieces of plastic on the radiator on each side, and the fan shroud sits in between these two clips. They're just plastic. They'll eventually work themselves out. See this one? Oh, it's already wanting to lift up right now. So get this thing out of here, and then you're gonna pull your fan out either as you're pulling this out or afterwards. So do that, and we'll reconvene here in the next shot. Well, as you guys can see, I mean, it has a lot of room in here without the fan shroud, but we got two belts. So we're gonna remove the front belt, the rear belt, and then we're gonna have to get the crank pulley off. You guys can see that guy out there. I think what I'm gonna do, just to get even a little more visual room, I might take this pulley off so I have a better angled view. But yeah, let's see what this is like coming apart. Belts are pretty self-explanatory. Looks like we got a 3/8 drive here and maybe a 13 mil socket to get this AC belt off. So let's get that rolling. Okay, I'm gonna get a 15 milli. I'm gonna tear this tensioner off. Go ahead and get this AC belt off. On that AC pulley down here, we have it's a 16 mil. Down here on this AC pulley, tensioner is a 16 mil. So once you get that belt off, the crank pulley bolts a 24 or 15/16. So go ahead and rip that out, and then we're gonna need a puller to remove the crankshaft pulley. All right, we got 2020 selected. I'm gonna go to the engine. We're going to be working on the 7.3, and I'm going to go to removal and installation and crankshaft front seal, and it is going to tell us that we need to remove the crank pulley. It gives us another sub. Should have just clicked on that in the beginning. Okay, I'm going to rip out this bolt, 21 milli, not 15/16. Like I was saying, she's a long bolt. So now what we got to do is get this crank pulley off, and it's not going to come off like our normal ones did, where we could just tap it and slide it off. Let's check out the workshop manual and see what it says. All right, we got 2020 selected. I'm going to go to the engine. We're going to be working on the 7.3, and I'm going to go to removal and installation and crankshaft front seal, and it is going to tell us that we need to remove the crank pulley. It gives us another sub. Should have just clicked on that in the beginning. Remove the following items: the compressor belt, the fan shroud. It says throw that bolt away. Remove the crankshaft pulley using a 3-jaw puller and a step plate to obviously set the tool up inside the crank pulley. But once off, that is what we're gonna look like. So I'm gonna come over here to the toolbox. I don't know if what I have is going to necessarily work, but we're going to see if that is. Let's go over and take this to the truck. Alright, so I've set this up a couple of times. I don't know if I got this on here all the way, but it seems like it's not pulling off. The bolt's tight, so I'm going to try hammering on it and see if I can pull this pulley off. Alright, so this has been a real challenge. My 3-jaw puller, I've tried 2 of them, and man, had to bust out the fan, started sweating. I don't know, I'm gonna give this a rip and see if it comes off. So far so good. However, I'm pushing against the bolt because I didn't have a little step plate to push against. So now I gotta set this thing back up again. It was a real pain in the butt to set this 3-jaw puller. I don't know why. Alright, I finally got it off. Man, I'm sorry guys, I wanted to show you, but this really irritated me. I'm trying not to get frustrated, but I mean, it seriously took me like 40 minutes to get this off. A little ticked off, tried 3 different pullers. It's just these feet, if I can show you, like these feet do not want to sit on here. I can't even do this with one hand. But let me show you the crank seal. You guys can definitely tell it was leaking. I'm gonna go over how to rip that seal out, and then we're gonna put the new seal in and try to put this crank pulley back on. I did forget to mention that I wound up having to cut the washer off the bolt because when I stuck the bolt in to use this as my step plate, I could only pull the pulley out so far until it hit the bottom of the bolt. I mean, right here. So I cut the washer off, which gave me that much more room, and that was what I needed for the pulley to come off. So note to self, if you guys don't have a step washer, you can use the bolt, but that step washer or whatever is going to have to fit in the hole of the crankshaft. So you're going to have to get a new bolt if you need to take measurements or whatnot. The diameter of the washer here of the bolt is the size you'd need to push that pulley against the crankshaft. I had to do a recall on a GT350 for the reverse lockout, and I thought maybe using this would have worked, but as you can see, this is just a little wide for the crank opening. I would actually need to press on the crankshaft. I could have gone this way, but then the pulley wouldn't have come off because of this lip here. So whatever you guys got to do to figure it out, it was a real pain in the butt. I just ate something, kind of calmed down a little bit, trying to stay positive here. Alright, let me get the special tool and remove this seal. Alright, I got the Ford special tool. Alright, I've gotten the Ford special tool to remove said seal. I can't put my bolt in because the threads got messed up, and I don't want to mess the threads up in the crank. So pretty much what I'm going to go for here is to pry this out. Alright, well, I guess we can just do it that way. Alright, well here's the seal. You guys saw me try to use the special tool. I thought my old school seal puller worked better. I should have just started with that in the beginning, but I was trying to go by the book and do as it suggested. Yep, there's our seal. You can see where I grabbed it right there. Focus, focus. Looks like it's been leaking for a minute. That was the bottom. Check it out. I'm going to clean up the nose of the crank and install our new seal. I'll show you guys what I'll use to install that. But yeah, 7.3 Godzilla crank seal out. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. I went to my buddy's ball joint press and got a cup that is pretty much the same size as my crank seal. So I'm going to I'm gonna install the crank seal. I'm actually, not dry I should say, I'm not gonna put oil lubricant on it, but I am gonna put a soapy water mixture around this rubber, which is gonna dry after installing, and then I'm gonna lightly set that over the crank into the front cover, and then I'm going to go and tap it uniform all the way around until this is flush in the front cover. The workshop manual says to use the special tool, but you guys, I'm all about following directions and following the correct procedures, but in my eyes right now, the workshop manual is merely a guideline. The first tool, taking this out, didn't work that well. I was more afraid of marring up the crank than I was actually getting the seal out. Used my seal remover, so I'm going to install the seal using my installer and go from there. So let's get this thing set up, and then I'll show you it fully mocked up. I'm sorry, I'm not going to show it to you mocked up. I'll install it over the crank nose, and then I'm going to tap it flush until it's all the way in the front cover. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, got my new seal in. I can dig it. Now we're going to go ahead and put the crank pulley on, and I'll show you guys what I'm going to do with that. I have a, where is it? It's right here. That's how I put the crank pulleys back on. So that actually fits in there pretty well. I'm going to put the crank pulley on there, and I'm going to use my air hammer to air hammer the pulley on, and it's just going to bottom out and won't go any further. So yeah, let's get it on. Alright, I got the pulley on. My procedure worked just fine. Walked it right on. You guys can see we're all lined up. Got the new bolt. Just start that in there. This is a 21, and it's supposed to be tight. And she's tight. She's tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish reinstalling everything, and we'll get a look at what it's like all back together. Alright, we got everything back on. All the air filtering components, all this stuff, all the clips, everything's orientated back in the positions that it were in. Now, it's time to start. Spinning. Let's go under here and see. We still got to clean off the brake, clean off the oil off the bottom of the pan, but see, she's dry. That's good. All right, you guys, tell me what you think about that in the comment section below. If anybody has ever had to replace a front crank seal on a 7.3 gas Godzilla, this was a first for me. It was kind of tough. Shouldn't have been tough because it was the first time doing it. So make sure to smash that like and sub. Again, tell me if anybody's ever had to replace their crank seal on their 7.3 gas Godzilla. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next Friday.